This is Rob Tebbutt for Boxing News. Delighted to be joined by the WBO cruiserweight champion of the world, Chris Billam-Smith. It is fight week here in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, ahead of your unification bout with Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez. Chris, how you doing?
Yeah, very well, thanks, mate. Yourself?
Very well, thank you. Very well. Always an interesting part of the world to come to. Saudi Arabia, my first time here in a couple of years. Have you been in the past? Did you come over previously?
No, it's my first time, but it's been nice. Very, very hospitable people, really kind people. They won't let you lift a finger and stuff like that, which is always nice on fight week, even though like the Brit in us keeps trying to like take some bags and they're like, no. And it's like, don't want to upset them either. So it's been good.
Obviously, a long way from home here in Riyadh, a long way from Bournemouth, but some home comforts. Of course, you've travelled heavy, mob deep, with your usual kind of crew of McGuigan's Gym and the likes of Johnny Hyman, etc., etc. So you've not travelled lightly.
No, and I got rest of my family coming out, and yeah, obviously got Sky Sports are here, yourself, so it's nice to have some familiar faces.
And I mean, people won't be able to see it because we won't necessarily be able to do it justice. But this is quite the establishment that they've got you staying in, isn't it? I think you could probably fit a good sized boxing gym somewhere in this hotel room.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, it's a nice little suite. But yeah, they've looked after me.
Shout out the Hilton in Bournemouth, though. We always got to get that one in. Okay, so we are here, Chris, in fight week. I made this comment to somebody the other day. 5 years ago, if somebody would have said to you, we would be in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia for a world title unification bout, what would you have said?
5 years ago? At the time, I probably wouldn't have known what Riyadh was, to be honest with you. My geography, Middle East geography, wasn't great. Jeddah was kind of the first boxing show I remember in this part of the world, which was George Groves in 2018, I believe. I wasn't here for that. I watched that one back home, but yeah, I would have been surprised. But I know because of George's one being WBSS, I would have thought, okay, I'm involved in a WBSS tournament then. That's how it's going to be. But that's not the case. Obviously, boxing's changed a lot over the last few years, and there have been some fantastic shows out here, and honoured to be headlining an event.
Now, in recent years, you've made Bournemouth your home. Of course, your last fight was on away turf, but it was in London, so it's not really away turf. This very much is. Are you looking forward to the prospect of boxing very much away from home? Yeah,
it's been good. I like. I've been prepared for this sort of trip in my career, having travelled with Luke Campbell a couple of times to America, which were good trips, and so it feels like one of those. But the reason I was, Luke kindly wanted me to go on those trips, so he'd fly me out and stuff, and so. But the experience I gained from those trips were invaluable in terms of like the fight week and stuff, and obviously it wasn't as big and as busy as this fight week is, but just being away with the team all in the same hotel, and that is a great experience for me, traveling abroad and stuff and using different gyms and that sort of thing. So been really fortunate to have that experience. So grateful for Luke for those experiences traveling away, because it helps prep me for this week, and I'm excited.
So one of the things I wanted to discuss is something I always bring up with yourself and Shane McGuigan, of course, your coach, about over the years that you've been in the gym. There's always been a David Hay, a Josh Taylor, George Groves, these guys who've gone on and had these massive events, and obviously being away with them in fight week and seeing that up close is one thing, but also being in the gym with them and having that repeated exposure to that top level sport must bring you along an awful lot. Yeah,
like it's always been in the gym. There's a standard set. And there's always been a world champion when I've been in the gym since I've joined. So having that is invaluable experience, and just sets the tone and sets the level for everyone in the gym. And then gaining off all their fight weeks and all that experience helps everyone. You help me learn for these occasions how to deal with them, how I would deal with them, things I might do differently, things I might do the same. Adam Azim's over here as well this week, so it's good for him because he's going to be on this stage not long from now. So it's really good to be there myself.
And just in that role as kind of the elder statesman, if you were, of the gym, not an old man, but the elder statesman of the gym now, do you, I don't want to say feel that pressure or responsibility, but something like that when you've got your Adam Azims in the gym, Caroline Dubois, etc.?
Yeah, I guess so. As a kind of responsibility as the longest serving boxer at the gym, I think I think so. I kind of feel that responsibility, but it's I like responsibility. I've always liked that as a kid growing up. I wanted to be the team captain and the penalty taker and things like that in football. So it kind of feels like that in the gym at times, but obviously at the same time I'm still learning off them, because they've got some unbelievable talent in the gym, and some of the stuff they do and they're able to do is amazing. So it's good to learn off them as well.
Now, I only flew in yesterday, so I wasn't able to get to the grand arrivals. I did watch it on DAZN. Other broadcasters are available, and I'm not sure they are for this one. What did you make of all of it? Boulevard City, the last time I came to Riyadh was 2019, when Boulevard City and Boulevard World wasn't a thing. I haven't been through it yet, but I mean, it looked like quite the environment. Yeah,
I mean, coming up to it, well, obviously we're a little bit out here, but then you sort of turn a corner, go in there, and you can see Boulevard City. And we were in Boulevard World. It's like, whoa, they just see these massive screens. It's like, that looks amazing. Then you see Boulevard City and you've got like the sphere type thing, and then like big roller coasters and stuff. You're like, this is like Disney World or something like that. And it's mental. But we didn't get to like experience it too much, because we were like taken around in the back door, then did my little walk out, which they've been doing a fright night for Halloween and stuff. So I was in this weird little corridor where there was like a bus. And there's like a guy in a mask on the bus, and I was at the bottom of the steps coming out the bus, and next to me was all these dolls, which are like, some of them got heads, some of them haven't. They're all like pretty scary dolls, and I do this walk through this kind of Aztec room, something like out of Indiana Jones or something, and then walk out into the Mexico part of Boulevard World, and I was just like, oh, this is a bit mental, but it's good. It's, you know, the show they put on is phenomenal. Like, usually when you have a grand arrivals on a fight week, that's not a thing that we do in the UK. You sort of just have your media workout, press conference, and weigh-in, and so it was a new thing altogether. But even going to any of the other stuff back home, like the press conferences and stuff, it's never as grand as it is out here. So it's a new experience and enjoyable.
How do you compare yesterday's grand arrivals to making your professional debut? How different was yesterday compared to fight week for CBS's debut?
Well, my debut was back home in Bournemouth, about 400 to 500 metres from my mum's flat, which I lived in for many years. So yeah, and we went and that was like a weigh-in on the day, and probably about 6 hours before I was fighting. So a lot different. It's come a long way from Boxing Academy 02, but which is a great venue. One I'm really glad I got to fight in a few times, but also glad that I've outgrown it in terms of my career now, and here we are in Riyadh in quite the spectacle of fight week.
So you could have done the Scott Quigg ring walk. You could have walked from the house to the venue.
Yeah, actually could have done that. Although I don't know how well that ever went down, that ring walk. It wasn't my favourite ring walk to watch, but I saw their point. But it was a strange one.
It's never been done again. Now, I don't know whether or not that's because people are worried that they don't want to, they'll never live up to it, or maybe just learn from not doing it again. But we'll wait and see. Zurdo Ramirez, somebody who is new, still relatively new at the weight. What do you make of him as an opponent? Obviously, we'll delve into some of the more granular details, but yeah, what do you make of Zurdo Ramirez?
Yeah, I think he's a super talented fighter. He's got so many attributes, and someone asked me earlier, will this be the best win on my record? I think he's the most well-rounded fighter on my record, and he ticks all the boxes. Like, he hasn't got any glaring weaknesses or anything like that. So he's a really, really tough fight, and a southpaw, so it's another new style for me. In terms of I've boxed big punches, I've boxed people with good footwork, and then southpaw brings its own new style. So it's it'll be a challenge for sure, but one I'm relishing. I think his style really will gel really well with mine and make for a fantastic fight.
Now, obviously, without divulging too much of the game plan, we'll see on Saturday night with yourself and your trainer Shane McGuigan. But Shane has obviously looked after world-class southpaws in the past, Josh Taylor being the obvious kind of standout in the gym. So I'm sure working alongside somebody with that sort of level of experience of working with southpaws has been a benefit to you in this fight. Yeah,
for sure. But also Shane he knows me, and he knows what shots will work for me against a southpaw, and we've which has come off well in sparring in the gym. the work we've been doing and stuff that does or doesn't work. So it's been, not necessarily the fact that he's worked with southpaws, just Shane's brain in general for boxing has just been, as always, has been so important in this camp, and I'm sure it'll be important again on fight night.
Now, the kind of post-Usyk era of the cruiserweight division has seen quite a lot of scrambling for vacant bouts, and there's even yourself when you were waiting to box Lawrence Okoli for the WBO. There was a potential for you to box Arsene Goulamirian. There's obviously Jai Optaia at the time, Ilunga Makabu. There's been kind of this sporadic scattering of the belt, so to speak, over the last few years. But you've had an eye on Ramirez, haven't you? Obviously, at 175 pounds, he was a big lump there. He kind of made no secret of his desire to move through the weights. But this is a fight that is not a surprise to you. It's somebody that you have had one eye on.
Yeah, I mean, it was meant to be my ticket to Vegas, but it wasn't. So here we are. But so that was kind of why I fought. And then obviously he came through and had the Joe Smith fight, and then got straight in with Goulamirian. And I was like, well, maybe because he was winning, it was, and then at that stage I was like, well, maybe he could be the ticket to the States, because as a British fighter growing up and watching all the big fights in America, they're ones you want to be a part of. But obviously more recently you see the shows that are going on over here, and it's great to be part of those. But yeah, so yeah, I had my eye on him for a while, and wanted him to beat Goulamirian because he'd been proven hard to get in the ring with. We tried for a long time before the Lawrence fight to try and get him in the ring, and it seemed impossible. So we're really glad someone else, managed to get him in the ring and get the belt off him.
What did you make of Zurdo's performance in that fight? Goulamirian was, as you mentioned there, somebody who was kind of quite sort of mythical for a period of time, wasn't in the ring, had that cursed fight with Alexei Egorov that took years and years and years to get on. But, he turned up on the night against Zurdo Ramirez, and Zurdo Ramirez defeated him. What did you make of Ramirez's performance? Did you think that was the best Goulamirian, or did it not really matter on the night, do you think?
I thought he was really good, Ramirez. I mean, he dealt with what was in front of him. I wouldn't say it was the best Goulamirian. But I think we spoke about it on the boxing show. I came in, didn't I, after it, and we spoke about it, and I do think he did really well in that fight. He did what he had to do. There was no, I don't want to take anything away from him. Like I said, it wasn't. I don't think it's the best Goulamirian, but maybe that was because of Ramirez. He's got 46 wins out of 47 fights. The only loss is to Bivol, so he knows how to fight. He knows how to get through fights and get wins, and maybe he's one of those where he looks, it might be even harder in there with him. But I feel like that's the same with me, to be honest. But yeah, so I thought it was a decent performance.
Seems to be the rhetoric around this fight is kind of the speed and skill, as it were, of Zurdo Ramirez against your natural physical size and strength. Do you see it like that, or is it a little bit more complicated?
No, I think I'm faster than him. I think he throws more shots in combination, but I think I'm definitely quicker than him. He kind of keeps this, a really good pace and a really good base, and he's able to throw off it, and he doesn't show his attacks, and they come out quite slyly, and you can't really see him coming sometimes with shots he throws, and I think that's why people get hit off him, and he's weighty-handed enough to earn that respect. So you can't just walk through those shots, and just hope you're not going to get hurt by them and stuff like that. So but I think the speed is with me 100%, and then you've got everything else, the strength, the intensity I fight at it, which I believe no one in the world can live with at cruiserweight. And so it's not just because it's Ramirez, it's because of who I am, and I think that's a big focus for me.
You go into this fight in a quite a familiar position, certainly of recent years, of being the betting underdog. 2-1, there or thereabouts, I think, underdog against Zurdo Ramirez. You were the underdog, massive underdog against Lawrence Okoli. You were indeed an underdog against Richard Riakporhe. Do you like that? Do you thrive off that, or does it not bother you at all? Yeah,
I didn't think it really used to bother me, but now it doesn't bother me. It bothers me in the sense that I quite like it. It's the amount of people that just write me off. But I kind of get it, because I'm not a slick, sort of Shakur Stevenson, clean Mayweather style boxer or outpointing like Bivol with really tidy feet and stuff. But it's the stuff you don't see, and I think with me it's not stuff you can see. I think it's stuff that you can only feel, and once you're in there with me, you can see how effective it is, and feel how effective it is. And I think that happens with sparring partners and opponents. They go, well, he's not much, and people keep writing me off. But then when you get in there, it's a different game altogether, and you a few fighters have that. I think Lawrence Coley has that as well, because people think, well, he just does this and this, but when you try and get in there with him, he's so awkward. He's so effective at what he does, and some people just don't rate him, but they get in there with him and get beat handily. So I think that's the same with me. I think people underestimate me for whatever reason, and it might not be a visible reason, but it's unless you really watch me a lot and study me, which I very much doubt his promoters have done. I don't reckon they've watched any of my fights. So yeah, I think it's one of those things where you have to feel it, and by then it's going to be too late for him.
Now, one person who is, whether he's underrating you or not, but certainly is overlooking you, is Malik Scott, who is, of course, part of the training team of Zurdo Ramirez. I'm going to paraphrase, so maybe not verbatim quotes, but words to the effect of, this fight is a mismatch. Zurdo Ramirez is basically levels above Chris Billam-Smith.
Yeah. And then his reasons were true in terms of, he said he's a great body puncher, he's good at this, that, and the other, and he was right in terms of his skills, but maybe he hasn't even watched me. Or maybe, like I said, he's watched me against Richard or a couple of fights here and there, and has only looked at the any weaknesses or anything, and not looked at what I actually do well. Because one thing I'm very good at is adapting to the opponent. As I showed last time out, I adapted my style and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm not sure. He hasn't been a coach for very long. He hasn't coached loads of fighters. He's entitled to his opinion. He might be right that it's a mismatch, but if it is, it's in my favour.
Now, one thing that he did say in your favour, he said that you got a very good coach, a certain Shane McGuigan, who is out of earshot, so we can give him some praise. But he did give you that.
Yeah, no, well, that's undeniable. I'm pretty. Recently we've had a guy in, James King, who's kind of a performance analyst, and kind of analyses different ways to help people's sort of team performance in different football teams or NFL teams and stuff like that. And he's done his research, and he says Shane's got the highest win percentage in all of sports at 94%, higher than the All Blacks, which is renowned for obviously having such a huge win percentage. And I think it's 94%. So that's some accolade to have the best win percentage in all the sports, which to me would make him, and his age, so he hasn't actually been doing it that long, but he's been doing it long enough to have a lot of fights. I think it's nearly 200 fights now under his belt, and a huge win percentage. So yeah, he's definitely right about having a coach, and in my eyes, obviously, people would say I'm biased, but you can't argue with that win percentage. And it's not like he's just had gold medalists come through the doors. He's had 0 gold medalists, or 1 gold medalist come through the door, but much later on in his career in Luke Campbell. So he's developed talent, and he's so good at that. So I think Shane is the best coach in boxing.
And one of the talents that he has rightly received a lot of accolades for developing is your good self, of course, taking you from debut right the way through to now a unified title bout with Zurdo Ramirez. How important is it not only to have a coach who understands you from a boxing side, but somebody who understands who you are as a person? Because as we know, boxing is a very, very unique sport, very lonely sport at times, but being able to draw on the experience of somebody like that from a boxing sense, but also somebody who knows you, must be invaluable. Yeah,
I think that's super important as a boxing coach, because you might be able to say the right things, but you've got to get those across to them. And a lot of time on an emotional level, you've got to deal with a lot of different emotions. And Shane's very good with knowing what gets me going in to get me to do what he needs me to do. And then I might have a completely different way of looking at things to Adam, Azim, or Ellie Scottney, or Caroline, or, everyone in the gym. So everyone's a different personality, and Shane adapts well to that. And I think he knows how to get the best out of all his fighters, because he has to have a high level of an emotional intelligence, and I think he's got that. So I think that's what helps him so much with his coaching. Is obviously he's got the knowledge of coaching, but it's being able to get that across. A lot of people might know what to do, but how do you get a certain personality to do that? And Shane's very good at that.
You mentioned earlier about Zurdo's promoters Oscar De La Hoya, Bernard Hopkins, legends, International Boxing Hall of Famers. Now, one International Boxing Hall of Famer who unfortunately isn't here this week because he's busy in kangaroo bollocks somewhere, I don't know. So if he sees that, he's not going to be happy. So sorry, Barry, is of course Barry McGuigan, who's been part of your management team and indeed a mentor for you throughout your career. A shame that we can't have Barry here, but he is, of course, up to other activities.
Yeah. I sent him a message the other day because I think he won't be seeing this because I think he's had his phone taken off him now.
It's not going to stop him seeing it later on and hitting me if that's the case.
Yeah. Later on, I mean, before the fight. But yeah, I think Shane said something like he gets one phone call like before he goes in, and he was umming and ahhing whether to ring Shane to find out how I got on, because that's Barry for you, because he is so passionate about boxing and everyone in the gym, and obviously Shane's career and all of our careers off the back of it. But Shane was like, well, you can just call Mum because Mum will also know the results. So I'm pretty sure, I hope Barry is going to call his wife Sandra, who looks after him and has looked after all of us in the gym over the years. That'd be. I don't watch it religiously, but I think this year the timing of it's impeccable. I'm gonna have takeaway every night around 9 o'clock back home, and be watching Baz in the Jungle, and I hope. I'm 99% sure everyone will fall in love with Barry because of anyone who's ever met him and spoke to him. He's got time for everyone. He's a proper gentleman. He's an absolute legend in terms of career and everything, but much more than that outside the ring. He's a phenomenal man, and I wish him all the best in there, and hopefully he doesn't get too many challenges that he's not too fond of. But he's also Barry, who will, through his career, took on challenge after challenge, so I'm sure he'll be earning lots of stars if he is voted into a trial.
What was the reaction in the gym when you found out that Barry was going in the Jungle?
Well, it depends who you ask. I was laughing and absolutely buzzing because I was like, he's going to win it. He's Baz, like he would 100% win it, and he might do. I think it's a strong chance he'll win it, but I think Jake and Shane were slightly more concerned about some of the stuff he says, but So they were more worried, but everyone else was so buzzing. Me, Pritchard, Lee were just over the moon, and can't wait to watch it.
You just mentioned his name there. It was a name that was kind of left off when I was talking about kind of being in the gym and the young guns coming through. Of course, Lee Cutler, we just left him having a little gentle stroll on a treadmill down there. Didn't he look like he was breaking a sweat, if you ask me? But anyway, he is, of course, it's somebody that you go back an awful long way with and has been with you, certainly pretty much in your pocket since he's relocated to London. How's he getting on? How's it like having him around? You have this very big brother, little brother relationship, don't you?
Yeah, we do actually, yeah. It's a heavy pocket at times when he's in it, but no, he's got a heart of gold, Lee, and he's grafting away, and he's obviously got a great coach in Josh Pritchard. So I've been loving seeing his development. I've missed a couple of spars recently, which will, like, because of my camp and timings haven't worked out right, because I've had to like finish training before him and go elsewhere or whatever, and I'm a bit gutted about that. But he's hopefully fighting towards the end of this year, and I'm so excited for everyone to see his development, because it's been superb, and he's really put in the graft this year. He's had a long year of training and stuff, and stuff he's had to deal with, and dealt with it superbly, and he's been improving all the time, and he's good fun to have around, even if he is an annoying little brother.
Now, one person that we are eagerly anticipating the arrival of is the other MBS of Saudi Arabia, Mia Billam-Smith, of course, your darling wife, who plays a huge part of your a huge role within your camp. She's going to be out here from tomorrow. Is she bringing Frank with her?
No, Frank.
Frank is, of course, Chris Billam-Smith's son, for those who didn't know from our reviews. Just random, bring some other fellow, Frank Warren, maybe, who knows?
That would be random if she brought Frank Warren out. Little man won't be coming out. Mia doesn't need that stress on fight week. She's and the stress she's had to deal with this camp in logistics of organising all my team to fly over, like the team that are outside the immediate team, like there's a long list of people that she's had to book flights for, book hotels for. We didn't know where we were staying, we kind of want the team nearby, and all this, that and the other, and what about these and what about visas, and she's just done it all, and she's just absolute rock. So I'm looking forward to seeing her tomorrow, giving her a big hug, and having her with me here for fight night.
Obviously, being a father of Frank, not Warren, Frank Billam-Smith, just we'll full name him. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. This is your 5th fight now as a parent. Chamberlain, Jojai, Akoli. Oh no, 6. Masternak. Why does everybody forget about Mateus Masternak, even in fight week? But anyway, moving on. What is it like now? He's getting to that age now where he's starting to understand a little bit more. And he's been looking at your Instagram. He's been throwing punches for a good while anyway. But he's starting to sort of take things in a little bit more now. Does that give you that extra bit of burning desire inside of you?
Yeah. So he's really taken it in, and he comes up the gym, and he's never watched sparring, let him watch anyone punch anyone else in the face. Even that's what I do for a job, and one day he will know. At his age and with his temperament, temperament's probably not the. That's all right. In terms of his energy, I don't think he needs to be seeing that kind of stuff. He's got a heart of gold. He's good, but Mia did Sky Sports did a thing where they got voice notes from people, and they had one with Mia and Frank, and Mia's going, "Oh, what does Daddy do for work?" And he's like, "Boxing gym." He's like, yeah, he's a boxer. He's like, he goes, yeah, boxing like Muhammad Ali. And I was like, well, oh no, he goes, oh, what is he? Is he a world champion? He goes, yeah, like Muhammad Ali. And I was like, that's not a bad list to be involved with. That was just because he's got the Little People Big Dreams book of Muhammad Ali, and we read it in the car, and he's got that always sat in the car, that one in. So for him just to come out with that just off the top of his head was phenomenal, and he's a huge inspiration to me.
Obviously, you are a long way away from home, your beloved home of Bournemouth, but as always, there's always a Bournemouth theme kind of running through on fight night and whatever else. But we've spoken in the past, kind of pre-becoming world champion, about Bournemouth not having a rich heritage and history of boxing. You go back to Freddie Mills. It's not been an awful lot to shout about for Bournemouth since then. You are now a world champion looking to become unified. How much of a motivation is it to continue breaking these barriers and continue to kind of add these little extra rungs of history to your career?
Yeah, it's, I kind of see them as byproducts of what I want to achieve, in terms of I don't necessarily do it for a long-lasting legacy to get kids to box and stuff like that. But I imagine, people say I've started boxing because of you and this, and I met someone the other day who was having his first fight at the sort of cryo chamber back home. He's like, he's having his first fight the same night as me, I think, or on the Friday. And I was like, all the best, mate. And so it's weird, because I remember being that kind of sort of stage of my career as an amateur, having my first fight and this, that and the others. But it was like I said, I don't necessarily do it for that. I do it for, and it's an amazing byproduct, and something that I'll probably lean into when all is said and done in terms of my actual boxing career. But I'll definitely look to help support more in the local community and stuff as much as I can. And so it's nice to hear people, and if people get inspired by me in any way, shape or form, even if it's outside of boxing, then that's brilliant.
Yeah, I'd imagine it's something that kind of creeps up on you. You don't really necessarily, because boxers by definition have to be so laser focused, and you're one of the more focused of that kind of breed, that you don't really see it until you go into a car park and see a mural, for example. Does it fill you with any sadness at all? It's probably unlikely now that you're going to box in Bournemouth again, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, the only chance would be like the stadium next sort of May time at end of season, but because we don't have any other arenas big enough, which is crazy, and it sounds egotistical, but it's the way it is down there, and it's an amazing feeling to say I'm too big for the Bic, because I've watched Oasis at the Bic and Arctic Monkeys at the Bic. Obviously, they're too big for that now, but it's crazy to be sort of too big for a venue like that, where I've had so many good memories watching so many great artists, and it's just such an honour. I'm so thankful to my fan base back home. It's thanks to them that they've always turned out and made my dreams come true. And I'd be great if I can fight there again. I'd be, if that is the case and I don't, then I'm very grateful for the memories, but also gutted that I can't, wouldn't be able to fight there again, because that'll always be my favourite place to fight.
There we go. We've got the headline now. Chris Billam-Smith, I'm bigger than Oasis. That's what we're going to go with. That's one. That's a good one. Final one from me, really. It's kind of keeping in theme with what we were discussing earlier about. You mentioned in the gym with Shane, take Luke Campbell aside, there's not been those established gold medalists. You, of course, were not gold medalists. You didn't have a standout amateur career. Where I'm going with this, on the boxing show, we've spoken about it in the past, where Josh Warrington is a big example of somebody who started off on the small hall, had to build, took it next step by step each level. Lee Wood, in kind of a different way of doing it, because he obviously had a bit of time away, he wasn't able to get fights, but another one who kind of took each step as it comes. And your name is sort of banded in that bracket of those guys as kind of, overachievers, so to speak. How do you feel about that? Do you think that's something that's been a big part of your success, your kind of ability to be quite nonplussed at each level? Or do you feel that people should maybe give you more credit? How do you feel about kind of being... Because some fighters don't really like that, with people saying, oh, you've got here on hard work and blah, blah, blah. And, they don't like somebody saying that you're not the most talented, this, that, or the other. But you've never really seemed to feel that way.
No, I think talent's a myth, whatever way you look at it, in terms of, people would say someone like Adam Azim is talented. Like, he was born that fast and that knowing how to be that agile and make people miss and counter at that speed. Like, he wasn't. He's been boxing from a young age. He's put in the work from a young age. And I didn't start until I was 16. So by the time I was 16, Adam had probably won junior world titles before I'd even had an amateur fight. So he's more experienced than I am in terms of boxing years. And I use Adam as an example because they'd say, oh, he's talented, he's born for it. But with him, you've got a superstar because he's mixing the hard work with the talent. With the amount of times you see the talent get wasted because they're hyped because of this. But the beauty of Adam is he has that hard work as well, and that's what gets him to where he is and continues to improve and become the talent. But with me, it's I get it. Once again, I'm not that slick style boxer. I started late. I've played a lot of sports throughout my life. I'm not the most sort of clean fighter because I've adapted my style. I was more clean as an amateur. I'm in and out with my feet, long shots. But me and Shane have found a style that works for me and my attributes, and it's got me to this level. So I'm not going to change it for people just tell me I'm talented and I'm not just an overachiever. But when I look at it from a long-term point of view, it's like if I step back and look at it from, oh, well, look how far you've come. It's like, yeah, it's really good. But then I also look at it like, well, think how much work you've put in and how my mind has not for 1 second since I've started taken a step back from boxing. Even if when back in the days when I was young, 18, and I used to go out and drink, I'd still be thinking like, I shouldn't be doing this. Like, because that was just the mindset I had. And I was like, and if you're eating bad food, it's like, oh, this isn't going to help me move. So my mind's been on it 24/7 since I started boxing. I've got a very addictive personality, so that I've managed to sort of maneuver my way and get addicted to the right things now, get addicted to that hard work, get addicted to that looking for advantages and ways I can improve and stuff like that. And so people can call me an overachiever and I get why, but I know I deserve to be here because of the work I've put in. And it's almost like if I look back at and watch myself over a 10-hour film of all my training sessions, all the work and thought process, if you could put all those into a film, then you'd go, well, obviously you've made it, because of my mind is never ever satisfied with where I'm at in terms of the work that's been done, and like, oh yeah, I'm world champion now, so it doesn't matter if I miss this or I don't do this or whatever. So I feel like I deserve to be here, but with the overachiever, like, I get it. Like, I am an overachiever in the sense most people would look at it, and for sure from my amateur background to now. I get why, but with the team I've had, and you add all those ingredients together with my mindset and willingness, with the team I've got with Shane and the team I've got in the background, and even down to the management, the matchmaking, everything, and knowing who I am, then it all makes sense, and that's why we are where we are.
Okay. Well, before I let you go, let's finish off on the fight, Zurdo Ramirez. Yeah, I mentioned earlier on, a lot of the talk about this has been the skills and speed of Zurdo against the physical strength of yourself, the natural cruiserweight. How important is it that you go out there and make him feel like he's in with a natural cruiserweight on Saturday night?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, my attributes are my intensity and my strength and my tenacity, my work rate. So it doesn't matter who it is. If it's Zurdo or someone else, I've got to make them feel that. You can't just give them 6 rounds and then start turning notch, because you've then got half the fight to do the damage. And from the offers we see me over the years, I stamp my authority early, and that's just how I fight. So yeah, I think that'll be the case on Saturday. Got to do it in a smart way, because he's got a very good boxing IQ. But yeah, I think once I start getting to him, I think it will very much look like a cruiserweight, a full-time, career-long cruiserweight in there with someone who's not that.
And final prediction, how does it end? Zurdo Ramirez versus Chris Billam-Smith for the WBA and WBO cruiserweight titles.
I believe I'll get rid of him. I believe he won't be able to live my pace. He is tough, he is teak tough, taken plenty of big shots in his career, but and sort of stood there with it. But I believe I'll get rid of him in the second half of the fight.
Jake Paul next?
No, Jai Fatai next, but we'll see how Jake Paul gets on this weekend.
Okay, Chris Billam-Smith, as always, thank you very much for speaking to Boxing News here live and direct from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, just 3 days out from the Unified Cruiserweight Championship of the World. Thank you very much for speaking to Boxing News. Best of luck this weekend.
Nice one. Cheers, Rob. Thank you.